Hello friends, welcome to Dhari. We are discussing on AWS and today we will be discussing something interesting. Till now we have completed what is cloud computing, what is AWS, S3 and how to connect to S3 via .NET Core, and also we have replicated the same in Python and Node.js. Today we will be discussing on AWS Lambda. So without wasting time, let's jump into code. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Subscribed? Done. Let's start.
So run code, not servers. AWS Lambda simplified. In Greek, the letter lambda is the 11th letter of the Greek alphabet and is used in scientific contexts to represent. We use lambda in physics and algebra as well. What is the importance of lambda in programming? A lambda function, or also known as anonymous function, is a function without a name. It is useful for short one-time operations where defining a full function is unnecessary. For example, in C#, the letter equals to and greater than symbol denotes this lambda as an expression, and it is also known as goes to operator. Assume that there is a function which takes an input parameters of integer type and we would like to know the square. So x implies x into x. So for example, if we call this function square of 5, it will give you an output of 5 into 5, which is 25. Multiple parameters we can still consider if a function has 3 input parameters and we would like to know the addition of these two, and then we can even say AB implies or goes to A plus B, which is equals to 15. The most significant feature of lambda is that we will be using lambda in LinQ queries, and it is more useful when we go with a where or a select clause. What are the key features of lambda? Lambda is event driven, its scalability, and AWS, as we all know, it is pay-per-use, and we even have runtime support for various languages like C#, Python, Node.js, Java, etc. How AWS Lambda works: trigger, execution and response. Trigger, an event. For example, if I would like to upload a file into my S3, an API call can activate a Lambda function. Execution, AWS runs the function in an isolated environment. Response, the function returns data or performs an action. What are the key AWS Lambda concepts? Lambda is a function in AWS. It is triggered, handler, execution role and concurrency. Function, the code that runs when invoked. Trigger, an event source like executing an API via gateway. Handler, entry point in your code like main method in C#. Execution role, IAM permissions that allows Lambda to access AWS resources. Concurrency, number of parallel executions can be handled using AWS Lambda functions. What are the common use cases of AWS Lambda? These are real-time file processing supported by APIs, data transformation pipelines, scheduled tasks. What is the Lambda architecture overview? As we have discussed, it's all about event source. Lambda is a function and works on isolated environments, and the output can be distributed or sent via APIs or into databases, or we can even upload a file into S3. Now let's start writing our first AWS Lambda function. So friends, to start with, let us connect to our AWS Management Console. Now I am into my AWS Management Console. To navigate into Lambda, we have to search for Lambda and we can see a Lambda menu populated. click on this menu, we will be redirected to Lambda page. As of now, you can see I haven't created any Lambda function. So let's start creating a Lambda function. We can see there is a code snippet which enables us to validate how a Lambda function works. If I go to .NET and click on run, we can see hello from Lambda. The execution is successful. This is read-only. We cannot do any sort of changes. Let's create our Lambda function using Visual Studio. Once I log into Visual Studio asks me what sort of project template would you like to go with. Let us start creating a new project. In search bar, type Lambda. Once the search is completed, select AWS Lambda project .NET C# code and click on Next. Now give a valid project name. I'll go with aws.lambda.hello and click on Create. Once you click on Create, a blueprint project templates are loaded. Here we can find multiple projects. Go with an empty function and click on Finish. The scaffolding is in progress. My function is created. As you can see, the boilerplate code is ready with property information, my AWS Lambda JSON file which has some prerequisite configurations along with a function.cs wherein we have to write our code. Let's try to understand the function code. It says a simple function that takes a string and converts it to upper. Instead of that, I would like to go with saying hello, welcome to AWS. So here my input will be a name or a character. So does a return with hello. So I'll go with a return operator where hello welcome to AWS Lambda, and here I'll convert this parameter to upper. That's it. This is a simple function. What is the importance of iLambda context? During our execution, if you want to capture any of the logs, we can go with iLambda context. Let's try to run this sample. Click on play and we can see it will be hosted into my local environment box with 5050 port, and it will give me a layout wherein I can go with my execution steps. Now the AWS Lambda is configured. My JSON file is updated with new configurations that I have provided so far, and we are now into AWS Lambda mock 5050 port. Let us try to test this. So I will say hurry in double quotes and then I'll click on execute function. As we can see, whatever we have typed has populated, which says hello hurry, welcome to AWS Lambda. Now let us try to upload this into my AWS Lambda as part of a function. I'll stop this execution. Let's try to publish our code to AWS Lambda. To do that, right click on project and go with publish to AWS Lambda. Here it will pre-select the existing projects that are deployed, or we will go with a create new project. I'll go with hello function and click on next. Remember, if our IAM is not rightly configured, we may go with some errors. Let us try to see what are those errors. As you can see, the system has blocked me from deploying the existing code into my cloud environment. Let us go and provide some access which can make my code to be deployed into cloud. I'll close this. To provide access, we have to go to IAM. Search for IAM. Here we can see IAM menu populated. Click on that, we will be redirected to IAM configuration dashboard. As you can see, I have a user. This user should have access so that he can upload the local box code to the cloud infrastructure. Select this user, select add permissions, click on attach policies. Now let's go with search for Lambda. We can see Lambda full access. Select this. Now search for AWS Cloud Formation full access and then click on next. I am giving 2 accesses to this existing user. Now let's go to Visual Studio and try to upload our application to this cloud environment. I am into my Visual Studio. Right click on the project, select Publish to AWS. I am into Visual Studio. Right click on project, select Publish to AWS. It will populate the Upload Lambda function configuration page or dialog box. Give the appropriate name, hello function, and then click on next. Still it is asking me to provide few more accesses. Let's go and configure them. The system also needs SNS and SQ access. To do that, go to add permissions and attach policies. Go with SQS, full access, SNS, full access, and then select next, give permissions. Let us try to rebuild and upload the same. I am into Visual Studio. Right click, go to publish, and then give the appropriate name, hello function. Click on next. As you can see, it did not throw any error. Select the appropriate role name, click on upload. It will take some time to upload my function to my cloud. As you can see, the publish has triggered. It will first generate the zip file and then it will push this into my cloud environment. So the deployment is completed. This is a test window which AWS has provided me to test whether the deployment is successful or not. To do that, I'll go with a invoke. It may throw some errors because I am at present not handling any exceptions. I'll go with our same configuration. and say invoke. As you can see, hello test, welcome to AWS Lambda is configured. So friends, we have successfully created our Lambda function and deployed into cloud environment. With this, I would like to end this session. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. If you have any questions, I am open for comments. And for improvisations, would you like to give me some suggestions? I am open for that as well. So stay tuned with our next sessions and we will come with another bang on AWS. Till then, take care, like, share and subscribe. Jai Hind.